Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 14:24 in the afternoon, and yet again I'm coming at you right here, right now with the new setup in store for ya. Yeah, we have this feed here, we have this camera down here that hopefully is running in accordance with the audio yet again. We have this camera right here that hopefully is running in accordance with the audio. As well, we have a kind of a lighting solution here so that I'm not all dark here. We have a lamp open over there. We have a lamp open over there. We have the drapes, down. And now we're just in here to have a jolly old and good time. Yeah, or at least hopefully that is what we will be doing. And something I've realized is that if I do this all of the time, I need to edit lots and lots more. Is that a good thing? Well, arguably, no. Not in my opinion, right? Not in my view. So the more that I stick to one camera, the less I have to actually edit in the editorial process. And the more I stick to this camera, the better. Why? Well, because higher resolution, better frame rate, all of that good stuff. Unfortunately, still only going to be 720p, as I think I mentioned yesterday. Why? Well, because since I'm using that feed over there, I ain't even gonna look at it because I don't want to edit, yeah? So just because I'm working with that webcam, I still need to limit my export speed or my export ratio to 720p. So just HD, not full HD, as we can get out of this camera right here, the DSLR. Yeah, it's all your fault. Oh no, I looked down. Oh no, man, now I need to edit this in. Well, I need to be able to do it anyway. I need to, get going with that entire idea of being able to switching monitors once in a while. Yeah, I'm just pissing off my future self, but you can get it. I'm in the mood, right? I can do whatever I want. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, now that we're warm in our clothes and we're getting all there and in there, we're going to talk about something that bugs me, yeah? We're not actually going to start with the project because, yet again, I'm thinking about having this as quite another testy video-ish, because yesterday I had a bit of a problem, yeah, with the live feeds ducking, sound in comparison to the sound file that I'm recording, and not the DSLR that I had the problem with the first time. So hopefully this is all going to work out. But we're going to talk about something that bugs me, and something that doesn't just bug me, but bug me with a specific type of people. Now, yet again, remind you that my language might be restricted. If you think that I sound really posh, right, that I'm not actually swearing and using excessive language and abusive language, yeah, when I'm trying to make a funny point, that is probably because YouTube's new algorithm and all of that. And we don't want to have demonetization, even though we're not actually monetizing, but in the future we might do, so we don't want to, enforce ourselves to that kind of deal. You know what I'm saying. I believe you. I believe you have a head of your own, yeah, to think with. So the idea that I'm going to take up is that Swedes. Am I right? No, I probably need to put a bit of more context on that. And no, I'm not going to go into the classical idea of the, our personal space here in Sweden, that if you sit next to someone on the bus, you're a bit of a weirdo, yeah? If there's just one space on each place because another person has taken the other space, you stand up, because that's how we do it in Sweden. And if you sit down next to someone, well, you're a bit of a weirdo, aren't you? Everybody else, especially if there's a free double seat somewhere else in the bus, don't matter how far away it is, you're probably gonna walk there. Otherwise, you're breaking social convention. Yeah, which isn't good. So the idea is that if you walk around on the bus and you sit down next to someone else when there is a free space somewhere else, a free double space, I might add, otherwise you're just as weird with someone else, people are probably gonna think you're a bit of a weirdo. And the worst thing is that if you sit down next to this person and they aren't responding in a bad way, they think like, oh, it's no problem at all that you sit down here. Well, then you're probably going to be a bit creeped out, because you have no problem with me sitting down beside you on the bus? No, yeah. It is a very complicated culture that we do have. Personal space is important for us, and everybody tends to know that, so that's not what I'm gonna go into. Neither am I going to go into, the entire idea of the lagom culture that we have, that you shouldn't be above, you shouldn't be beneath, you should be right in the middle. And what is the problem with having that kind of mentality? Well, it is the course that the simpletons are allowed to advance, whilst the really smart people are getting pushed down by society because we need to have this line that everybody is in line with. And simultaneously, right, all of the really stupid people are carried up because you can't be too stupid. So, what is that leaving the room to? Well, it's leaving the room for simpletons like myself to actually excel at something. Why I'm actually picking up a camera here and working with it and just dealing with it. Yes, simpletons like me are the reason why, or the reason for why the logging culture actually exists. Well, because we can excel and we like it, and then we get into power, which is even worse. Because if you look at all of our politicians, yeah, you can see that, you know, because of the simpletons are allowed to advance, we have, you know, political parties that have very weird political agendas, such as, you know, let everybody run home that come here from war and misery. Let them just go away home again, you know, no problem at all. Let me have my fika in peace and go back to your, you know, war-forsaken country, God-forsaken country where there's war everywhere and it's problems. Just go back there. We have politicians of that mindset, yeah, which is horrendous. Not that I'm going to try to enforce a particular part of, well, political view here, but I would argue, you know, just let everybody in. What's the big deal? What's the worst that can happen? Am I right, people? Of course I'm not. There are many things that you need to consider there, you know, but that is one of the things that is happening in Sweden. With this logging culture, we have these simpletons that tends to advance, but that's not what I'm going to talk about either. No. I'm not going to talk about all of those usual things, because you probably know that. If you have spent even a day in Sweden, you probably know about that. Our personal space. We're very, very happy about our personal space. We care for it very deeply and a lot. And you probably know as well about the logging culture and the jantelagen, because that's everything everybody's constantly throwing at you. And then you know about fika. What is fika? Well, it's basically just a Swedish word for the notion of sitting down with one of your mates and having a bit of a coffee and a bit of a snack. That is basically what fika is. So how often are we having that? Well, approximately 1 to 15 times a day, depending on which person you are, depending on where you are in your corporate culture and where you're working and so on and so forth. So you probably know that already. No, what I want to argue and what I want to talk about is something that pisses me right off, yeah? And that is the notion of that if we have a public person, or rather the more public a person is, the more it is okay to make fun of them or talk down to them or just be mean to them without any particular backing, any particular reason. And the lower a person is, let's say, in the social context, the less of a public person a person is, the worse it is if you say something to them, which is horrendous. It's ludicrous. Just imagine taking that same, you know, idea and that same mentality to a third world country or to Colombia, right? I had a mate who was in Colombia and he was like, well, if you talk bad about the government is gonna take you. I was in Russia a while back, and well, even though we weren't explicitly told not to talk about politics and the military and stuff, they basically said, oh, well, you probably shouldn't, mate. Now, I have actually no idea how it works in Russia, but just for argument's sake yet again. But the thing is that in Sweden, it doesn't work like that. It means that the higher a person the higher up a person is in the social hierarchy, the more public of a person is, the more okay it is to make fun of it. Let me give you an example. If you take the Swedish king, yeah? The Swedish monarch, the guy at the top, the guy who everybody looks up to. Well, I think that nobody does. You see, just such a, you know, a simple thing thrown in there. But if you take someone as the king, nobody would bat an eye if you said, well, the king is a bit of a wanker, yeah? He's a bit of a thick one. Don't even like him very much. I think we should throw away the monarchy as we have it and just, you know, roll with it. We can take him away. I explicitly really dislike him. If you say something along those lines with a more fruitful language, so to say, people would probably not bat an eye. The thing that people probably say if you said that to their face would be that, oh yeah, what's your take on monarchy? What do you think about monarchy? That would be their reaction. Not, oh, that's not good. How can you say something along those lines? How can you say that? That wouldn't be the response at all. No, not in Sweden, because that's a social person. They've lived with that. No, yeah, well, the king and stuff is born into it, but still, they're kind of, you know, they're social people. They're public people, so it's okay to speak your mind about those people. However, if we flip it the other side around, if we flip it to another context and we talk about your local middle manager Dave. Now he is on the brink of becoming a public person because he has a profile picture on a website somewhere at your local retail store's website. If you say the same thing about him, people are sure going to be upset, and they sure are going to weigh in with their own opinions and say that you're wrong. You can't say that. If you go to Dave, who is making you miserable because he's doing such a bad job at the only thing he's supposed to do, I don't know what it's supposed to do. Maybe he's cleaning them floors, maybe he's trying to develop a new kind of water bottle. It can be whatever, it can be whatnot. If you go over there and say to Dave, or say to other people that you've told Dave, that he was a bit of a wanker, he was a bit thick, the same thing that you were saying about the king, people would go mental. You see, that is the way it works in Sweden. People would go absolutely, brutally mental over nothing. Because everything you've done is basically said that, well, this guy, Dave, he's doing a bad job. You know, with fruitful language. And the funny thing is that you've been saying the same thing about the monarch of the country. Yeah, but people probably didn't bat an eye because he's a public person. Same goes if you talk about our politicians. If you say that a politician is a thick idiot that has no idea what they're doing and that they're ruining the country, people would probably be like, yeah, so whatever, you know. That's your take on politics. Why are you voting for them? They wouldn't actually go up and defend that person. Most times they wouldn't. But if you talk about that middle manager Dave, people would probably rise up, do a social media campaign. They would go to the papers and say that Philip, that guy, was talking shit about Dave. He was trashing him for no apparent reason. They would probably try to bloody evict me if they could. And that is just the nature of the beast in Sweden. That is something that actually pisses me off quite a bit. Why are public people getting all the trash, right? In Sweden especially, people are just saying that, well, it's their own fault. Now, isn't it? They're at the top. They're out there. They put themselves out there. Yeah, but I would just like to come at you with a different perspective. The king was born into it, right? So he had no reason to be called a public person. He just happens to be the king, which is, you know, take the good with the bad, I assume. I mean, I would like to try and be king, but still, he hasn't actually chosen that. I don't think he can actually crown himself, at least. So I don't think that he actually has a choice. However, your middle manager Dave has a choice to actually step down. But once I say that, some people say, don't he have the right to be successful? Well, then he probably can take a bit of bans as well. And couldn't he? But the thing comes again back to the idea that why is it more okay to say that the king is a bloody idiot than saying that Dave is a bloody shit-faced idiot, right? You see my action here, you see my point? It's so weird. One of the reasons why one of the things that I absolutely despise with this country's kind of mentality. Now, just for the record, a disclaimer here at the end. I really, 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 really like Sweden. I mean, a lot, especially after I was abroad. I mean, this country in its essence, it's in entirety. I just love it bloody all. I love everything about it, almost everything. There are some things, as I've said, that kind of bugs me, but I like most of it, right? So don't take this the wrong way, yeah? Don't rub me the wrong way with this. I like Sweden. It's just that there are some things that I can nitpick on that are like, why are people having such a double standard? And that is what I'm going to leave you with. Sorry, that's what I'm going to leave you with. Why are people having these double standards? I'm sure that this is happening in the rest of the world as well, in Australia, in the US, in the UK. If you're a public person, it's allowed to trash them. However, if they're not a public person, if they're just the average Joe, and you trash them, people are going to go mental over such a little fact that you're saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the right time, according to you, but at the wrong time, according to everybody else. But however, if you do it to a politician, or if you do it to the king, or if you do it to the bloody Queen of England, people wouldn't bat an eye. They would probably just be, haha, that's funny, mate. You should probably put that online. So that's what I'm doing. Speaking me mind out, yeah? At least I'm trying. That was everything for me today, mates. I've been ranting on for long enough. This will probably give me a good idea of where the audio stands. So, have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow with the new product. I promise you, if this one works, yeah, we're going to make the product tomorrow. Have a nice one, mates. See ya.